Today in class, I was retelling the story about my adventure in Costa Rica. Specifically, I was telling them about the time I went to that restaurant. And I told the students I walked into the restaurant and the wait staff just stared at me. And I gave a hand gesture. I pointed my finger one, not at them, but I just pointed it as to communicate one, and then I pointed to myself. So I said one to myself. I was communicating to them just one person. I am the person I want to eat. I want to be served. They got the message. They understood what my hand gesture meant. If there were two people, I would have put two fingers in the air. Two, serve two people at the restaurant. Two people want to eat. But in this case, it was one. Or if there were three, four, five, whatever. I did that because I was in a foreign country. I was in a Spanish speaking country. I was in Costa Rica. Costa Rica. And I. So I made the hand gesture and they understood what I meant. And so they gestured back to me like, sit down, have a seat here, sit anywhere you want, do whatever, sit down, sit down. They hand gesture, to me and what have you. Um, and I sat there and I waited. And then finally, a waiter approached me and asked me what I wanted to order. And I ordered the food. Now, as I was ordering the food, two men walked into the restaurant. These two men walked in, and the waiter's attention shifted from taking my order to the two men. Now, when these men walked into the restaurant, the waiter said, "Hello, welcome, have a seat anywhere. We'll be with you in just a moment." It was a full on greeting and an instruction to them. Hey, sit down. We'll be with you in a moment. Like, there was a lot of interaction between them. Whereas if you were to compare what happened to me, there was no interaction when I walked in the door. But with these men, there was plenty. There was plenty of life, plenty of what you would expect if you were to walk into any restaurant. Hello, welcome. How many are in your party? Please sit down here. Okay, would you like to sit here? No problem. We'll be with you in a moment. Someone will be with you to take your order in a moment. Would you like some water? You know, hop, hop to it. This type of urgency, this sort of energy. Whereas with me, there was no energy. Everything was just dead. And it was weird because it was as if they were wondering why I was even in the restaurant. What do you want? What do I want? I want to be served. I'm hungry. Why don't you, why don't you assume I'm here to eat? What, I don't get it. Anyway, the that happened to me in Costa Rica. I am a black man, and the two men who walked in to this restaurant and who were greeted with, welcome, have a seat, someone will be with you, all of that, they were two white men. I presume they were two white Americans. And I looked at the disparity. I looked at what had just happened and I was just like dumbfounded, like, wow. So the conclusion is even when white people are not present, then white supremacy still operates because the person who I fault and who I blame and who I direct my, criticism at, he was a a Latino man. I can't say he was Costa Rican, because I found that even in some of the countries I traveled to recently, Venezuelans had immigrated to those countries. So I'm not sure where he was from, but this story took place in Costa Rica. And so it pissed me off. It pissed me off too. It was just ridiculous to experience that firsthand. Now, I told this story in class today, and I had a beautiful reception. There were a number of black students in my class. And without even explaining to them, or without even telling them the race, the ethnicity of any of these participants in my story, of course, they knew my race, my ethnicity. They knew that I had been treated differently. They saw the disparity in the treatment between the two men who entered after me and my treatment. I was met with blank stares. I was met with curiosity. What do you want? Whereas these two other guys who walked in were met with, hello, sirs. Have a seat. We'll be with you in a moment. You know, and there was a marked difference in the amount of energy put forth in service. It was like, we're gonna give this guy, we're gonna expend the least amount of energy with this person, this customer, and we're gonna give all of our energy to these guys. Hello. And if I imagine if it were a Mexican restaurant, they would be like, hello. All the music would come out, and then arriba, and all this type of hola, ¿cómo estás? Ah, señor. I mean, it was just like that. The difference in service was that stark. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? Like, that was so clearly some white supremacist ish. They were like, we're not gonna go over and above for you, brown man, black, brown man, whatever. But these white guys are here. Now the party begins. Let's go. So that's my story. That's my complaint about that restaurant in Costa Rica. Costa Rica. Now, I'm gonna give out the deets. This happened at the restaurant. I think it was called Rosti, 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 Rosti. And this restaurant is located across the street from the airport in Costa Rica, and it's just next to the Denny's. Yes, they have Denny's. Yeah. And there's a Holiday Inn across the street from the airport. There's a Denny's, a Holiday Inn, and this restaurant called Rosti. And that's where this story took place, at Rosti. Yeah, so that happened. So that's one of my complaints and grievances about my travels to Costa Rica. While in Costa Rica, I also visited Starbucks, Al Asacia Starbucks in Costa Rica. I had some really rich, robust, hearty coffee there in Costa Rica. I posted videos about it on YouTube. Check them out at IC109. Kobe, let them know.
You're at 109 right now.
Peace and blessings from IC109. That's my story, and I'm out.